Welcome Gemini to your in-depth weekly forecast for week commencing the 17th of June for the Ascendant, Sun or the Moon. On the screen now I'm showing the event chart right at the start of the week. We have a gorgeous link between your ruler Mercury and Venus on Monday in your sign. Gemini season has been so sparkly this year because we've also had Venus in occupation, but critically Jupiter, a once in a 12-year event. Now, also last week we had the Mercury cazimi, but that was compromised by the energy of the dreamy, drifting Neptune. And so it is as we come into this new week. But if you've got a real clarity of purpose, you know exactly what you want to achieve, and you're not being affected by any outside influence or anyone's doubting of what you're trying to achieve, something can crystallize at the start of the week creatively, which can give you a lot of a sense of excitement. But also, even by the end of Monday itself, there could be a key piece of financial good news. If you don't get it straight away, don't worry, you soon will. But it's just that if you're relating to someone in a professional situation that you don't know very well, so for example, if you're negotiating a contract, it's vital that you get this scrutinized by a trusted friend or perhaps someone more formally to ensure that what's being dissected really works for you. But later on, as they move into Cancer on Monday, they do come into conflict with Pluto. So Pluto is the planet of transformation, but it's also the planet of power, and it can of course be to do with coercion, can be to do with leverage, but for you in House 9, higher truths. And if you recall, last week it clashed in a very potent way with Mars right at the start of the week. Something may have come up last week that was really quite tricky. In fact, last week, Gemini, I think, was quite a tough one. But as you go into this new week, Mars has moved forwards from Pluto and applies to Jupiter, which is a very dynamic link. Someone from your past or an old skill and a talent that you're redeploying in a fresh way can work out spectacularly well this week, but you need to be open to new knowledge and ways of doing things, and that's where Pluto comes in. So Pluto can be about change and transformations, but just be aware if you are doing anything that is contractually based with a financial component, that it is really audited and checked in a way that's totally satisfactory to you. Pluto brings power, Neptune brings the potential for a little bit of lack of clarity. Now, as the week goes on Thursday we have the summer solstice. The sun arrives back in Cancer. Western tropical astrology is based on the seasons. So if you're down south and it's the winter solstice, I hope that it's not too cold yet. But what it means in terms of the astrology for us all the world over, the next 13 weeks, in your case in particular, is asking you to think about the emotion of money. So the emotion of security. We all have a need to be secure. But also we need to feel secure about our values. It's not just about the hard cash, it's about how things feel. So do we feel valued? Do we feel validated in what we do? So those are the existential questions you could ask yourself over that next 13-week period, but particularly over the next 4 weeks. However, the sun by now is also aligning to Pluto, just like Mercury and Venus did earlier in the week. So the second house is an earthy area. It may be hosted by Cancer, which is about feelings, but for you it's earthy. The ninth house is more idealistic. There may be something that comes up that gives you an opportunity, and you may have a judgment call to make, and that will crystallize by the time of the full moon, which occurs on Saturday. This full moon goes across your 2nd and 8th house polarities, but Neptune in house, for you, house 10, but nearly on the 11th cusp, that is influencing this. So if you are talking about money, or you're trying to make some economies or squeeze more out of your budget, or if you've got savings and resources, trying to use them in a more enterprising way, Capricorn, very much about the physical world, you have to make sure it feels right, the Cancer sun, but also it's practical in terms of your everyday resources. And don't be too idealistic. That's Neptune, but just on that 11th house cusp, as it is on the 29th anaretic degree. But I think that this week can be much more progressive than last week in a way. Last week created a lot of potential for misunderstandings, distortions, low energy, just feeling a little bit overwhelmed. This week traction comes. It won't be perfect, but traction is there. And that combination of Venus and Mercury and Mars and Jupiter can both be really fortunate if you really go for it. Have a great week, Gemini. If you've yet to subscribe to my channel, please help it grow and do so now.